Ride the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. Tider Insider TV, brought to you by Visit Tuscaloosa.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome into Tider Insider TV, as you just heard, presented by Visit Tuscaloosa. Go to visittuscaloosa.com. Alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com, I'm WVUA 23 Sports Director Gary Harris, and we're now just 5 days away from the A-Day practice and A-Day ceremonies coming up this Saturday inside Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. But we've got some scrimmages to talk about. Alabama's had two so far. In fact, they had one this past Friday that was inside the stadium, Rodney, and with spring practice coming to an end at Saturday. This was a big scrimmage for this football team and these players and coaches. And junior redshirt Ty Simpson continues to be consistent at quarterback. He's got some wide receivers making plays for him. The other two QBs, of course, Austin Mack worked mainly with the twos, and Kalen DeBoer said that Keelan Russell, the true freshman, is killing it. Offensive line, Olasa Lennon stepping in at left tackle for Caden Proctor. So a lot to see as far as, I think, 115 players or so, Rodney. We were not allowed to be in there, but you've talked to a lot of sources. What are some of your takeaways from Friday's scrimmage?
You know, it just sounds like another good, solid scrimmage that they had, kind of like the first one. You mentioned the quarterbacks. I know that that's a popular question with everyone, and really nothing's changed. I mean, Ty Simpson's getting the first crack at the first reps. He's doing a nice job. He had 3 touchdown passes in the first scrimmage. He had another touchdown throw. It seems like, Gary, his favorite receiver so far in these scrimmages has been Isaiah Horton. He's hit him 3 times on touchdown plays. But Ty seems to be steady right now. I think obviously you're seeing Austin Mack. He makes some plays, still got to get a little more consistent. Same thing with Keelan Russell. Makes a lot of wow plays. You can see the potential there. There's a lot of buzz about Keelan Russell and his ability. So I think the quarterbacks are coming along really well. You mentioned with the injury to Caden Proctor, the offensive line still not 100%. Defensively, just got a lot of players. I think that secondary is loaded with some talent.
Yeah, Olasa Lennon in there at left tackle right now, and all reports are he looks good. And Cam Dewberry, the transfer, working at left guard. Of course, that's Tyler Booker's spot. The rest of the offensive line, you've got, of course, Brailsford at center, and Jaden Robertson and Wilkin Forby on the right side at guard and tackle. That should be formidable. When this offensive line gets healthy, Rodney, do you think it has a chance to be a really good unit?
I do. I think, again, you're talking about last year with Coach Cap coming in. It was kind of a late deal. You had some uncertainties there with that offensive line. I think now there's a lot of maturity there. I think the year when that system is certainly going to be helpful. And I think this, too. I think Coach Cap does a fantastic job, but having a guy like Ryan Grubb, that's got that expertise in the offensive line, certainly that's an extra set of eyes that can be helpful.
A lot of concern about the tight end position just due to the fact you're losing 2 really good tight ends, and you've got a lot of injuries.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're losing C.J. Dupree, Robbie Oots, those 2 guys gone now, and then Danny Lewis hasn't been part of the spring all spring, and then you had Josh Cuevas has gone down with an injury, who I think he's got a chance to have a really good year. Marshall Pritchett, the true freshman, has gone down with an injury. I know that Jay Lindsey went down with a little bit of an injury, but he was back at practice. I saw him today. So, again, that's a spot, Gary, that even though they've got some players, would not surprise me when the portal opens up if they look for a player.
Yeah. On the defensive side, you mentioned the young players in the secondary, man. There is so much talent right there. But I know today, this morning, they did have a media viewing at practice, which is very rare. We don't get many of those. And you had heard some comments made from some of your sources about the defensive line not being impressive in the scrimmage, but you wrote on TiderInsider.com today, you took a close-up look at them today and thought they looked really good in terms of their size, speed, and athleticism.
I'll be honest, I've thought they've looked good physically every time I've seen them and athletically. I mean, it's a lot of experience, a lot of development going on there. I think with James Smith, if that guy turns it up a notch, that'll be really big for the defensive line. But James Smith, there you see him there, number 23. But some of the younger players, I think, Edric Hill, there you see him, number 92. Number 90, well, actually, that was Jeremiah Beeman. 94 is Edric Hill. These are guys with a lot of young talent, Gary. Jordan Renaud, Keon Keeley, they're starting to kind of, based on some things we hear, come into their own a little bit. If those guys can develop behind Tim Keenan, behind LT Overton, behind James Smith. It's going to be a really solid defensive line.
Having been out there today, and I want to ask you, and you only got to, maybe 15 minutes or so to watch, but something I'm hearing a lot, we always talk about aggressiveness with players. Rodney, I'm hearing a lot about aggressiveness with the coaches. Yeah. Second year here now, feeling more comfortable, feeling, Ryan Grubb brings some toughness, like you said, but Kane Womack, I hear, man, has just been on fire in practice, and I mean that in terms of here, there, just bringing the energy, bringing the excitement, working with all the position groups, and you observed that today.
Yeah, I think, when watching him move around from position group to position group, and he did do some hands-on coaching, obviously. I know that in some of the tackling or thud drills that they had, he was really on freshman safety Ivan Taylor, who's potentially a really, really good player. I mean, he was highly recruited, but he coached him really hard there, Gary, and at the end of that, I saw him say, hey, patted him on the back, took him aside, and I thought Ivan Taylor really took the coaching extremely well, which is a good sign.
Yeah, only 11 practices up until this morning, so they went, going on 6 weeks with just 11 practices, but 4 this week, leading up to A-Day on Saturday. What's it look like for the rest of the week?
Well, I think, and again, there's been a little bit of confusion here. They're supposed to have another scrimmage. I don't know if that's going to be Thursday or Friday. Again, it's going to be closed, but you get 3 scrimmages in the spring. So rather than scrimmage on A-Day, they're going to use one of those scrimmages, I think, for one of these other 2 days, Thursday or Friday. And then, of course, A-Day is going to be, like you said, a practice.
Yeah, but we don't want to remind people, you'll be in the stadium. It's free, so they still want a good turnout. And you'll get to see these players and coaches up close. No, it won't be a game, but there should be a lot of excitement for what's coming up on Saturday. And now it's time for Coach Talk. Wide receiver Ryan Williams was held out of last week's scrimmage, and he may be limited for the rest of the week, not because of injuries, but because, as DeBoer puts it, we know what he's got. And it sounds like fans may see Williams' versatility on display come the fall.
He can play any position, inside, outside, field, boundary, it doesn't matter. And, you got to make sure that we continue to give those opportunities down the field, the things you saw a year ago, explosive play opportunities, but also a lot of it's just getting the ball in his hands. I can think of some even bubble screens and things like that we did a year ago that he just created on his own. Obviously, we got a block for him, but we're going to move him around.
Rodney, we know what he did last year as a true freshman. 48 catches, 865 yards, 10 total touchdowns. One of the best players in the country as a true freshman. And now they're working him at the slot. I understand, as you just heard Coach say, you want to move him around where the defense can't get set on him all the time, but you want to get the ball in his hands even more this season because he is kind of like a Swiss Army knife. He can do a lot of different things.
He really can. And I think the thing you're going to see this year, too, Gary, it's going to open up opportunities for some of these other guys because this is a deep wide receiver group. I don't know if he'll catch more balls this year. I don't know the distribution, what it's going to be, but I certainly can tell you this. They've got some guys with Jeremy Bernard, Isaiah Horton, Jalen Hill's
Cole
back.
Adams coming back.
Cole Adams is coming back. Derek Meadows, but a real name that we've talked about, Latsier Brooks, the true freshman. Both he and Meadows are very impressive.
Yeah, with the speed on Brooks. I mean, we've seen some fast guys around here, Rodney, but I'm hearing he could run up, as far as a 40-yard dash time, could run with any of them.
Speed, playmaking ability. Gary, he's got it all.
All right, let's move on. As we mentioned, Alabama football's annual A-Day event will look different this year. Kalen DeBoer shifting from a game to structured drills, and so it's going to last about 90 minutes of practice, Will. So you'll be in the stadium. You get to see these guys up close and personal, but there's probably not going to be any full contact tackling or anything like that. Following the event, there will be an autograph session for members of Yay, Alabama, and all the other familiar traditions will continue as well. Walk of Champions, the arrival of the team, of course, the captain's ceremony, and for honoring the 2024 captains, Rodney. So again, I want to encourage people, because I know I've been asked about it a lot, and you probably have too, is it worth coming to A-Day? The answer is yes. Right?
Yeah, I
if you're
think
an Alabama
so.
fan,
it's an opportunity to see the team and practice. It's going to be a really good practice. I think you can get a lot out of it.
I do too. Well, still to come on Tider Insider Television, find out which Alabama basketball players have decided to return for another season and which ones are going into the portal. We're going to bring you the latest. We've got new guys coming in, and of course with the portal, you got some guys leaving as well. The roster will turn over, but I expect Alabama to be good once again. And in just a little bit, we'll be getting your phone calls, emails, and tweets. The phone number, as always, if you want to interact with us, 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Or you can email us at the address on your screen. We'll be right back with more Tider Insider TV. You stay with us. And we're back on TITV, presented by Visit Tuscaloosa. Alongside Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Over the past week, Alabama basketball already transitioning to the next season, receiving 2 commitments from the transfer portal, sophomore guard Jalil Bethia and junior forward Taylor Boboan. We will start with the former McDonald's All-America Bethia. He is the latest transfer portal addition for the Crimson Tide, Rodney. And just last year, like I said, a McDonald's All-American, a 5-star player, played 1 year at Miami, started 16 of 31 games. Numbers were okay. They weren't great, but he's 6'5", 190, very athletic, and a guy that's got, 3 years of eligibility left, for one thing, if he wants to use them. A lot of potential here. Also has a chance to be a lockdown defender. I trust Nate Oates when it comes to the portal, and I think this is a nice pickup.
There you go, shooting the 3 right there. No, I think he fits the system really well, Gary. And again, like you said, he was a 5-star player coming out. Didn't have a great year. I think he only averaged like 7 points, shot about 30% from the field. But you know what? Hey, Aiden Holloway, you see what he did when he made that transition from Auburn. Sometimes it's just finding the right place for you.
Yeah, McDonald's All-American. Alabama's had 20 in their history. 9 of them have played for Nate Oates.
Wow.
About that in 6 years. That's impressive. And also last week, after 7-footer, Noah Williams had committed to Alabama. The Tide gets another big man, 6'10" forward Taylor Boboan from Florida State. He played 2 years for the Seminoles. Long. You hope to be a rim protector, still improving as an offensive player, Rodney, but this is a guy, again, height and length. We know how important it is in a Nate Oates system to be able to protect the rim with the way they like to get out and run, and this is a guy that I think they had their eye on as soon as he went in the portal.
I think, again, you're talking about potential. You're talking about the height that he has. He's not really big. I mean, I think he's only around 200 pounds, but, Gary, he's got that length, as you mentioned, and that means a lot. And
he played for Preston Murphy, Alabama assistant coach on the AAU circuit, so there's a lot of familiarity there with this Alabama staff, and as we said, has a chance after 1.5 blocks a game last year and 1 steal to improve Alabama's defense. So that's a pretty good deal right there. All right, let's also talk about a situation with the point guards here. LeBaron Philon, we don't know what he's going to do. We don't know if he's going to go to the draft or he's going to come back. Aiden Holloway played some point, but Rodney, I think they're really wanting Philon to come back. I think it would be good for him to come back, but we don't know what he's going to do. If he does not, then Holloway may have to shoulder more of the point guard duties, or Alabama may have to look to the portal for a point guard.
You would think so. I mean, you would think that they probably already have a few they got their eyeball on, and let's hope Philon comes back. But if not, Nate Oates has shown he can go to the portal. He knows how to pick them.
Yeah, I hope Philon takes a look and they can point out to him. J.D. Davison was a great player here, and he's a great player right now for the Maine Celtics, but that's the Maine Celtics in the G League. He's the G League MVP, 2-way contract. In 3 years, he's not really broken in with the main, the NBA team yet. Now, Boston's a great team. We know that, but needs to keep an eye on that. Also, you're not going to keep them all. Mo Diabate, Rodney, man, he's been a tough as nails player in 2 years. Didn't start any games, but a guy that Alabama would have liked to have kept. But you know what? This is the portal era. Money talks. He's going to Kentucky.
Yep. That was a good pickup for them. But and Nas Cunningham transferred out too. I know we certainly addressed that in one of the recent shows.
Yeah, and, freshman that's on the move as well. Well, still to come on TITV, Alabama Gymnastics finished regionals this past weekend in Coleman Coliseum, and now they're headed to Fort Worth to compete for their 7th national championship. And coming up next, your phone calls, emails, and tweets. And the phone number is always 205-348-9882. Go ahead and give us a call so you can get through, and we'll get you on hold for a little bit, and then we'll get you on the air. TITV, the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, will return after this timeout. Well, head coach Ashley Johnston was on with us last week, and she said, we feel really good about where we're at. Why not? Alabama on Sunday saved its best for when its best was needed. Their season-high 197.675 score vaulted them, pardon the pun, into the national championship meet out in Fort Worth, Texas, coming up next week. So Alabama will be making its 40th appearance in the national championship meet. They have won 6 national titles, but they haven't won one since 2012 when Ashley was a gymnast on the team, looking to get their 7th. And I tell you right now, they are performing at a very high level. All right, welcome back into TITV. A reminder, phone lines are wide open. I know we're going up against baseball again tonight, but if you want to give us a ring, 205-348-9882. Our hotline is open. Right now, we're going to get to our email question of the day, and it's brought to you by KDM Service Corporation when it comes to heating and air conditioning, serving your family like our family. And this is from Jim in Sparks, Nevada. Jim, I'm ready for you tonight. I saw your question earlier about women's basketball recruiting and kind of having to fill the roster back up after losing so many players. Jim loves University of Alabama out there in Sparks, Nevada. I'm ready for you. Of course, we know all know about Ace Austin, who is a 5'7" guard from Spring Garden High School. She's been on the varsity since the 7th grade. I think she won 5 state championships. She's missed basketball in the state, and with Sarah Ashley Barker from Birmingham leaving, it's nice to have Ace Austin coming in, Rod, because I'm telling you, she is some kind of special player. But that's not all. They've added Tiana Chambers, a 6'1" guard from Cherry Creek High School in Aurora, Colorado. In fact, they signed 4 top 100 recruits. Lourdes de Silva Costa, a 6'3" forward from Montverde Academy down in Florida, and Joy Ibano, a 6'3" forward from Faith Family Academy in Arlington, Texas. So those are your signees, led, of course, by Miss Austin. You see her right there. Also, it's been reported that they're going to be getting a transfer from Baylor. Her name is Wyatta Jennings, former junior college player of the year. So I think Christy Curry's got it rolling now, and using the portal, signing a higher caliber of high school athlete than she did in the past. Rodney, I think Alabama, was a hair away from the Sweet 16 this year. They had that lead over Maryland nearly the whole game, it seemed like. But with a recruiting class coming in like this, 4 top 100 players, plus the transfer portal, I think you're going to be good again. And they don't need to replace a lot of good players.
Yeah, that really got my attention when you said 4 top 100 players, plus the former JUCO standout. So now it was at Baylor. Again, you have to replenish that roster. Yeah. That's a great job.
Yeah, she's been, I said, reported that she's coming. It's not been announced by UA, but we're keeping an eye out for that. All right, let's get to another email here before we have to get to the break. How concerned are you about the lack of tight ends? That's from Mick down in Spanish Fort. We touched on it a little bit, Rodney, but at least through the spring, it's been tough going. It
has. And again, I think they go to the portal. I do think they'll grab somebody. And it's not that these guys that they have, I mean, Danny Lewis is expected back, Josh Cuevas, I think those guys are really good. Marshall Pritchett, the freshman. Now, look. There's another freshman coming in from California, Caleb Edwards, highly, highly touted. He decided not to come in early, but he was a standout basketball player, had a great basketball season. But he's 6'6", he's 240 pounds and can run. So they're going to have some players, don't get me wrong, but it would not surprise me if they did look to the portal. All
right. Thanks for those 2 emails. Still to come on Tider Insider Television. Alabama baseball suffers a setback to some degree this past weekend down at Auburn. They didn't get swept, but they didn't win the series. We'll catch you up on the Tide, and we'll get to more emails. Hopefully we'll get to some phone calls. Phone lines are open. I don't know what's been lately. Been slow. 205-348-WVUA, 348-9882 is the number. If you want to give us a ring, you can go ahead and get through, and we'll get you on. We'll be right back with more TITV. Alabama baseball traveled to face in-state rival Auburn down at Plainsman Park over the weekend. It's second straight year Alabama's had to go to Auburn. Remember, Tennessee came here 2 straight years. Alabama had to go to Auburn 2 straight years, and you never want to have to play your in-state rival at their place 2 straight years. Alabama got bombed in the first game on Friday night, 10-0. Tough outing for Zane Adams. But day 2, they responded in the first game of a doubleheader. Justin LeBron hit a 2-run homer in the top of the 9th that helped the Tide get a 6-5 win, and then they lost a tough one in game 3. They played a doubleheader, so avoid the rain on Sunday, and lost that one 7-5. But still, they're 7-5 in the SEC with Mississippi State coming in here this weekend, so baseball still looking good, although they're struggling right now against a really good Southern Mississippi team. It's 4-0 Golden Eagles in the 3rd over at Sewell Thomas Stadium, and I'll have highlights from that game tonight on WVUA 23 News at 10. All right, let's get out and get our phone call in here from Connor in Tuscaloosa. Hey, Connor, how are you?
Hey, guys, how's it going?
Doing well.
Receiver, the Locksley Brooks.
Yeah, I could barely hear you there, but I got what you're calling in about Lotzera Brooks, who, I think we talked about him a little bit earlier. outstanding player. I know, Rodney, you love his speed and athleticism and big play potential.
Yeah, I mean, he was up there in Millville, New Jersey, where he was a standout player last year. Actually, all throughout his high school career, set New Jersey records, Gary, for touchdowns. I mean, he was a man among boys. He's come down here, obviously, an early enrollee. He's had a big spring. He's a guy that I think Connor can really have an impact, and I say that, I mean, obviously this is a really talented wide receiver room, but I think he can contribute, give a solid contribution as a true freshman, which is going to be tough.
205-348-9882 if you want to get in on the show. We'll take an email right now. Email 3 is from Ryan in Tuscaloosa. Who's the best option at point guard if Philon leaves? That's something we touched on a little bit earlier, too. You know, Holloway can play some point. I think Millette might even be able to play some point, even though he's taller. If Philon goes into the draft and does not return, I also think they might look at adding another point guard as well. But my hope is that he'll come back, Rodney.
Yeah, I think we just obviously have to let this play out. But like you said, I really would expect going to the portal. Yeah,
the thing about Philon, and there's another freshman who keep an eye on from this past season, Sherelle, who at 6'11" can go out and shoot the three. The thing about Philon is he's just oozing with athletic ability, but so is J.D. Davison. I would hate to see him go to the draft and kind of get stuck in that G League purgatory. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You just you're skilled, but you don't want to be I hate to say this, you really don't want to be the G League MVP. You want to be up with the NBA team. So Sherelle, we know, is coming back. Hopefully Philon will join him. All right, still to come on TITV, Alabama softball looked to avoid a series sweep against number 4 ranked LSU down in Baton Rouge. We'll let you know if the Tide was able to get in there and get a win or two. And also, we're going to be talking more about Alabama softball, what's coming up this weekend. It is a huge series here in Tuscaloosa as part of the 8A festivities. TITV will return. Thanks for the phone call and the emails. We'll be right back. Alabama softball at LSU this past weekend. They lost the first 2 games, but give the Tide credit. Boy, they opened up a can on Sunday, jumped out to a big lead, and then hung on to win it 8-5. So they salvage a game in that series. Oklahoma comes in Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And that is going to be a huge series. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Tider Insider TV, presented by Visit Tuscaloosa. A reminder that if you missed any of the show, you can catch a replay tonight at 10:30 or anytime on WVUA23.com or at TiderInsider.com. All right, we're going to leave you tonight with Ryan Pannone, former Alabama assistant, continuing that pipeline to Arkansas State on both football and basketball side. Ryan Pannone hired as head coach, taking over for Brian Hodson, who was a former Alabama assistant as well. And they're pretty excited there to get him up in Arkansas for their new basketball coach. All right, for Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a good night.